Hey Instagram, this is Alex Oliver back with yet another episode of Project Onward Artists at Home. We've been calling it Quarantine Edition, but you may notice that we're broadcasting a little later this evening at 7 p.m. because we figured a lot of you are probably going back to work now as we enter this next phase of reopening Chicago, which is where Project Onward is based, and the rest of the country and the rest of the world. Hopefully there are people from all over the globe tuning in with us. But we do hope that everyone's still being safe and being cautious and doing their best to, continue to flatten the curve. I know we're really eager to get back into the studio and get our artists all back to work. But in the meantime, they've been doing some incredible stuff at home. And today, we've got one of my personal favorites, Dijon Barrett, joining us, who is a newer addition. You've met some of the kind of like the OG Project Onward artists. And today, we're going to bring you one of the more recent additions to the roster. And his stuff is really amazing. He's such a nice guy. He and I became fast friends, and he's just always in such a great mood, and is really pleasant to talk to you, which you're all about to witness here momentarily. So stand by, and I'm going to invite him to join us. Okay. May have to stand by a little longer than usual. I'm not sure if Dijon's online yet. I'm going to ask my assistant to send him a text, maybe. We went through a practice run earlier and had a little bit of trouble. Let me go and see who's watching one more time. All right, well, we're going to try to get Dijon online. In the meantime, I would like to invite everyone to start to familiarize yourself with his work. You can check him out on Instagram at BarrettD25. That's BarrettD25. He's got a lot of his work on there. It's really spectacular. A lot of just kind of snapshots from his life. Some movies and other pop culture that he's into, which he can tell us about now because here he is.
Hey Alex,
Dijon, what's up?
how you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you?
Yeah, it's good. I can hear you now. So that voice stat is going on too.
Excellent. Excellent. I can hear you too. Everything looks good. Sounds good on your end?
Everything is sounds good on the app, sir.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Well, good. Thanks so much for joining us. Looks like you're enjoying some sunshine. You got a lot of sun coming into whatever room you're in. That's good because sometimes when we do these interviews, they're in very dimly lit spaces. But one of the best things about them is getting to see your space and what you're working on, and because I assume you've been busy, even though you haven't been able to go into the studio. Do you still find time to work at home on your art?
Well, I haven't do anything on arts at home yet,
Mm-hmm.
but less the time. So I was working on a new project right now. It's about what's gonna happen after the pandemic. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, but it's not finished yet though. I can show you samples though.
Okay,
If you
great.
like.
Well, we'll get to that in just a moment. I definitely want to see some of those, but first I want to just get just talk to you a bit and let the people at home watching just get to know who you are and what your process is like, because I've gotten to know you pretty well, and you're just such a nice guy and you're such a talented artist, and I just thought we'd start at the beginning and just if you can tell me a little bit about what kind of inspired you to start making art, and if you remember, a time when you were young how old you were when you started making art and what it was like for you back then when you were younger.
I started making art while I was while I was a kid.
Hmm.
I do some kind of like crafts and arts, like drawings, paintings, and I could do everything. Something in my own ideas, imaginations while I was a child.
Yeah. Was there someone, a family member or a friend or a teacher or something that kind of got you into it, or did you just sort of pick it up on your own?
Uh, Maybe there's some like for example my tutors Mary and Nancy from my college, Marine Valley Community College, and they recommended me to go to Project R to check it out. So until then, I finally get to join the family, and the best thing that ever happened to me.
Oh, that's
Our,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, good, good. Well, great. Well, since you brought it up, let's talk a little bit about your journey to Project Onward and what it's been like, what your experience there has been like. What do you feel like you get out of the experience? What do you enjoy most about Project Onward?
I joined most likely in my the beginning year was 2017 when I joined Project Onward, and my first debut of my artwork I'm working on is my imaginary band I'm working on. It's called England Boys.
Right. I've seen
With
some of that the England Boys stuff. It's really cool. I like it a lot.
yeah, Daya Radcliffe, Liam Bacon, Ryan
Yeah,
Pinkston, Asher Monroe, Diego Bonetta, Logan Lerman, and Austin Mahal.
that's fantastic.
That's why I create those people into my imaginary band group called England Boys.
Yeah. Now, they're all real people then, right? That are in this band.
They're
They're based on real people.
They're all real people,
Uh-huh.
but in my imaginary band, no.
Of course. Yeah, yeah. I mean, as far as I know, Daniel Radcliffe isn't in any band, but it's fun to imagine.
especially,
Yeah,
especially that Robin gave me an example of their rap of doing the alphabet rap I seen
I've
before.
seen
I
that.
was like, I never.
Yeah, that's really cool. He's got a pretty sick flow. Well, speaking of music, I know. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about your art in just a moment, but um, I know
Okay,
you're a big fan of a lot of other pop culture music and movies and things like that. And
right.
for those who are watching at home that may not know, Project Onward has some really amazing events, different holiday parties, and gallery openings and things like this. And there will often be music. There is occasionally karaoke, and Dijon is one of the all stars when it comes to that. And I remember you singing at karaoke. I think it was at Halloween, maybe last year. And
Werewolves in London.
that's right. Yeah, you've got a spectacular singing voice. You even did some kind of choreography that I was really blown. Everyone was really impressed by it. You're just a real well-rounded performer. Can you talk about uh, how music has influenced you and how it might influence your artwork? Is that something that's really important to you?
Well, influencing me for music, I was kind of a little nervous during karaoke,
Hmm.
like 2 years ago until last year. I never sang anything.
I,
What's the
that's
point?
right. I remember you saying that you'd never done it before, and then we were all so amazed when you got up there and just tore the roof down. It was amazing. Well,
Yes, it
now,
is.
Dejan, your artwork has really evolved a lot. Just in the short time that you've been at Project Onward. I mean, I know you work mostly with colored pencils, and like you said, you're very imaginative, and you do like to imagine these kind of different scenarios. But it was usually very the scenery was very straightforward. The people in it, the backgrounds, the landscapes. But over the last year or so, you have started to incorporate all of these really amazing colors and symbols and shapes, and it's taken on this really more kind of experimental, kind of abstract nature that, and like really colorful and fantastic and just so imaginative. what's going through your mind when you're working on these, when you're working on a landscape and you decide to maybe experiment with the colors or put different shapes in there? What are you thinking? Like what's going through your mind? Which part of your imagination are you drawing from?
Like it could be used for an original image, for example, that using my imagination ideas, like I said before, and I could put some different colors from the original image and cannot use a copy of. So I could use some amazing colors. Like for example, Grand Canyon is my favorite art ground working on.
I'm looking at your
And
Grand Canyon piece right now. It's amazing. The sky is all kind of yellow and orange, and it's almost like every rock is a different color. It's really, really spectacular.
almost a vivid color too.
Yeah, and your gradients, that's something that you're really kind of known for and something that you really specialize in. And I know you spend a lot of time working on those too. You're you're really very much a perfectionist when it comes to those gradients, and it really shows. It's really amazing work. Um, do you usually have an idea in your head how it's going to look when you start, or does it just kind of whatever happens, happen? You just kind of go with the flow and see what happens.
After I finish with Stock Rock State Park, Illinois drawing so late,
Hmm.
and I'm working on a little bit of hold on a second. One second, wait a second. I'm working on this right now. It's not that much though, and I drew two people here, and I'm trying to figure it out as I could to put all those separate peoples distancing like 6 feet away. You know
Oh,
what's gonna happen at the pandemic,
oh, fantastic. So
and yeah,
now you're
I
kind
could
of
do some buildings too.
now, do you already have an idea of what kind of colors are going to be incorporated into it, or did you just sort of figure that out as you go along?
Well, as long as I could though.
Uh-huh. You just kind of
And
whatever
use the
comes to
color.
your mind when you're working on a specific part. So you don't really have an idea of what colors you want to use before. It's just kind of you just sort of let it happen.
Right.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. So now this new piece that you're working on, it sounds like, oh, actually, Whitney wants to see the Star of Rock piece too. Was that the one above it? Can we take a look at that?
Oh, sure. So let me
Yeah,
take
cool.
this like a swirl. Yeah, hold on a second.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of really positive
Oh, can you
comments
see it?
and hearts and stuff in the comments. Yeah, that's really fantastic. Can you,
Oh,
Dijon,
thank you.
can you zoom in a little, just go in a little
Yeah.
closer on some of those symbols on the right side?
This one?
Yeah. Can you just kind of explain what we're
Oh,
seeing?
I put the diamond in on you seen the diamond, the blue gem look like?
Yeah.
And
What was the
I put it
why did
in
you decide to put that?
my own idea.
Why did you decide to
That's
put?
a good question. I, I put it into my imagination so I could add it to jewelry system. And then the stars
Mhm.
recommended the solar system as well too.
Oh, okay. So they're not really random. They all sort of represent something then. Is that right?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I mean by yeah.
fantastic. Now the water, can you go in a little closer on the
And
water
I
for us?
make
There are a lot of really cool textures going.
yeah.
Dijon, I think we're having a little trouble with the audio on your end. Can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah? Okay.
I use the different colors to the water though. It's for the waterfall in
Uh-huh. Wow. Yeah, that's really
yeah.
wonderful. Thanks for sharing that, Dijon. I appreciate it.
If you want me to put it up with something,
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
yeah. Can you see it?
Oh yeah, we can see it. That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's how I did it.
Hmm.
And
So now
you're welcome.
this new
No
piece.
problem.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad you see this.
Oh, cool. I think I'm experiencing a little bit of a delay. Uh,
Thank you.
I think you might have a bad connection there, Dijon.
So,
Sorry, I'm having a little trouble on my end, Dijon, with the
okay.
audio, but I think I can hear you okay. My picture is just freezing. Hopefully, everyone else at home can see all right. But can you tell us a little bit more about this new piece that you're working on, the one about what's going to happen after the pandemic? It sounds like you're feeling optimistic, like it's going to be something kind of. I know a lot of us are kind of unsure about what's going to happen, but how do you feel about it? How is the
Well,
how has the pandemic made you feel?
yeah, Stock Rock State Park Eleanor Drawing piece is my favorite piece.
Mm-hmm.
And my second favorite piece I wanted to work on, I love Grand Canyon as I did. And
So, Dijon, can you tell us what it's been
the
like
other was my
for you
favorite
during
was Niagara Falls is my favorite too.
Fantastic. Dijon, can you hear me okay? All right, let's try to get this fixed. How's it going in there in the director's room? Wet. Going in and out. Okay. We're having some trouble on connection. Oh, and he's gone. All right. We'll try to get him back on here. Maybe we can maybe that'll fix the problem. Dijon, if you're still watching, I'm going to try to bring you back on, and hopefully we'll have a better connection this time. Thanks for sticking with us, everybody.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
The status.
That's all right. It's not. There's nothing wrong with that. It happens. I was just. I think you were doing your best to kind of keep the conversation going, but you weren't really hearing any of the questions I was asking. How's everything sound? Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I can hear you okay. Because status going on though. Connection too though.
Right. Okay. Yeah, sorry. That it happens sometimes, unfortunately. Well, I was asking before we got disconnected what it's been like for you during the pandemic. What do you feel optimistic about it? Does the new piece kind of reflect, sort of hope for the future? How do you feel?
I feel while working on the piece is it's a little bit easy and hard as I could, and like I said, like Robin, what he said before, and my new project that I'm thinking of, like how it's gonna end after the pandemic, like I said before,
Right.
like after the police brutality going on here, and that's it's kind of frustrating for everyone, you know,
Absolutely.
and especially that ever since what happened, all over the news, and like I said, it hurts everyone,
Yeah.
it hurts everyone's feelings.
Well, I'm glad that you've got an outlet like your art.
That's what my new art project is going to be.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure that
For
it helps
pandemic,
you.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. I'm sure it helps you kind of deal with everything, and I think your art probably helps a lot of other people too, because it's really positive really exciting work. So thank you for addressing these really important issues in your work, Dijon. I really can't wait to see
Well,
it when it's well. What's it been like for you personally, working during the pandemic? Are you still working at your day job? Can you hear me, Dijon? Dijon, how's the audio on your end? Can you hear me okay? No, we're losing him again. Again, if you're just joining us, we've been talking to Project Onward artist Dijon Barrett, who does really incredible work, a lot of really kind of beautiful, colorful landscapes, and a lot of figures as well. Really influenced by pop culture and nature and just kind of his own imagination. We were getting into a lot of really cool details about his time with Project Onward and about the inspiration behind his art. And unfortunately, he had a bad internet connection, so we had to wrap it up kind of shortly. But we're gonna give it another shot. So I'm gonna see if he's tuned in here, and I'll invite him to join us. Stand by. Doesn't look like he's online yet. I'll plug his Instagram again real quick while we're waiting. That's at BarrettD25, Barrett. You can see a lot of his work. You can see his movie reviews, which I'm a huge fan of. Dijon goes to see lots of movies. He's really got his finger on the pulse. And they're generally overwhelming. I don't think I've ever seen a bad review. They're usually overwhelmingly positive, which is a little positivity is something we could all use right now. Also, projectonward.org has some great examples of his work too. All right, looks like he's back, so I'm going to bring him on board.
hey,
There he
you hear me
is. All right,
now?
take two.
Okay. Okay, take two as well.
Yeah, right on. It seems like we got a better connection this time.
Yeah, let's see how it goes this
Yeah,
time.
yeah, awesome. So, Dijon, before you got back online, I was telling everyone about your movie reviews, which I've been a big fan of for a while. We talked earlier about what a big music fan you are, but you go see a lot of movies, and you've started doing kind of like regular reviews on your Instagram page, which I really enjoy. Uh, of course, we can't go to the movies right now because they're all closed.
The
The
pandemic,
pandemic.
yeah.
But what's that experience like for you? What do you enjoy about going to the movies? Does it help kind of stimulate your imagination?
Well, it could be stimulus. It could be my imagination, and I miss the movies every day,
Yeah,
and theaters shut down, everywhere shut down too, and it's frustrating for everyone too, everybody misses theaters. All we have to do is like everybody has to do is just sit, stay home, and relax and wait, be patient. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. No, I completely understand. Sometimes that's easier said than done. But I appreciate your optimism and your positivity. I think I can speak for everyone watching when I say that. And I'm glad that I know you're probably really looking forward to going back to the movies. You're looking forward to going back to the studio and working on some more art. We talked a little bit about your introduction to Project Onward, but we didn't really get into what your experience has been like there. And I mean, I know it's given you a good opportunity to work on a lot of art. And what is it like working with other artists, having the other people around in the studio? Do you find that they kind of influence your work a little?
About my introduction of art.
Yeah, well, just being at Project Onward, being in the studio, being around the other artists. What's that like? Do you enjoy it? Do you like talking to them and kind of getting their point of view?
I do love meeting everyone at Project Honor since I got joined on 2017 in July.
Yeah,
Well, Murray Valley student, of course.
yeah, that's fantastic. Now, Dijon, we talked, of course, about your process a little, and I'm looking at one of your pieces on Instagram right now called "The Depths of My Dreams," which I think the title sort of says it all. It's clearly just pulled straight from your imagination. It's got a lot of your trademark, colors and symbols and gradients, and it's got kind of an underwater theme. Can you tell us about that piece a little? And it's a little different because it's not really outdoors. It's more of this underwater world with jellyfish and turtles. I even see a few scuba divers in there. Can you tell us more about that piece?
This piece is definitely my favorite. I'm working on as well. I use you see the picture of it. We something you see the picture is like a white socks fish. You see that, and there's like a cub's fish. You should see that.
Oh,
So I'm
you're
working on
right.
my
I didn't even notice that before.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And also put the gay pride fish as well as you've seen it too, and make like a different sports fishes
Yep.
and there's like green, yellow, but I'm not gonna say the Packers jellyfish,
Of
and
course.
I can use instead of Marine Valley goat jellyfish anyway. I
Yeah.
don't care about Packers.
Yeah, well, we are in Chicago after all. You got to be careful. Well, I'm glad you mentioned the Pride fish because it is Pride Month after all. We talked to Stefan last week, and that's kind of a central theme in a lot of his work. But is it important for you to include different types of people from different backgrounds, different race, religion, sexual orientation, things like that? Do you like to represent a lot of different types of people in your work?
Yes, I do.
That's good. That's good. I'm sure you've met a lot of people living in the city and being part of the art community. You probably meet a lot of people from different backgrounds, and that probably influences your work, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And again, it's really evolved so much even since you came to Project Onward. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about your figures. One of your most well-known pieces, I think. Let me see if I can find it here. Certainly, one of the first that I became familiar with was your Basquiat. That was what was it like making that piece? No, I'm sorry, the
That
Baptiste.
piece,
I'm thinking of the Jean Baptiste.
Jean
George.
Baptiste, Point du Sable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was working on that piece in 2017 until like
Hmm.
2018. That was like I worked on that piece like 4 months. Let's say like from November through January. That's 2017 and November through January 2018.
Uh-huh. This was kind of one of the first examples of you experimenting with these very imaginative colors, I think, right? Because it seems like it's based on a statue of Dusable, and you've got I mean, it clearly he appears to be sort of made out of stone, but he's also got, like his hair and his beard is very textured and looks very soft. But then you will also just kind of put these random colors in his hair. What inspired you to do that?
I do that. I use it from image for the original to do some of the different way, for the
Hmm.
different texture and the vivid colors. All that this drawing do Sable I'm working on is and that could sort of help out of different textures. Like I said before, that's one of the things that I love working on the Do Sable picture was I like to be more vivid, more gradients, and
Hmm.
something like that.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's definitely really kind of adds an interesting, fresh perspective to it, and really kind of makes it your own. Uh, and I just think it's really important when you're making art to just take risks and kind of experiment. Is that something that you really enjoy doing? Is that fun for you to kind of start with a more traditional image and then just kind of add color and textures and just make it kind of wild and crazy?
Um, yes, yes, I really do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I'm sure that's a lot of fun. Well, how is the I think that somebody mentioned, I think it was Nancy mentioned here in the comments that you like to listen to music when you work. Is that right?
That's right.
I'm always very interested. Good, good. I'm always really interested in what kind of setting the artists like to create for themselves, to make it most comfortable to work. So you've got your materials, you've got your colored pencils, you put on music, and then what's it like? What are you usually listening to?
While I was working on a drawing, I listened to any different types of music,
Hmm.
and I like R&B, I like rock and roll, I like Motown. Like my late beloved grandmother is a big town of Motown.
Oh,
While I was working on my drawings, yeah, my late grandma, when she was gone, like it's been 4 years now, and she would have loved my arts for support, but she always looked above me. She and I were so close, just like my late mother.
hmm.
She would have loved to see my arts too, but they knows
Absolutely.
they love my arts.
Yeah. Well, you should be really proud. I'm sure if they could see it, that they would be as well. I'm glad that you do it. Is part of the reason you make your art is to kind of honor their memory?
Oh, my favorite memory of arts would be that I'm working on is I choose five.
Great. Yeah.
I choose I choose Great Canyon.
Hmm.
I choose Carnival Venus Gala, Niagara Falls,
Hmm.
Staff Rock, Illinois Peace that sent you out before that I saw you before that you saw before.
That's right.
And I'm working. I like my favorite will be one last favorite I will have to go for is In the Depths of My Dreams.
Oh, fantastic. That's definitely one of my favorites. So, are you from Chicago? Were you born and raised in Chicago, Dijon?
I was born in Chicago,
Uh-huh.
and I raised in until I raised in Riverdale
Hmm.
and hold on a second. I'm trying to think and see. Riverdale and Blue Island.
Excellent. Well,
Blue Island
so
is
you've
where I
always
grew
you've
up.
always been a city boy, then it sounds like. But you've got all of these really amazing images of places from all around the world, and it seems like you're particularly interested in like the desert, the kind of Southwest, things like the Grand Canyon. Have you ever been to those places, or do you kind of base it on pictures that you've seen? What inspires you to draw these places?
What's the question again? One more time.
Have you ever, for the Grand Canyon, for instance, have you ever been to the Grand Canyon, or do you just base it on pictures that you've seen?
It's just the picture is a set, but I never been any places like Grand Canyon or Niagara Falls, especially Starved Rock. Also,
Yeah,
I would
right.
like to try it out one day.
Absolutely. Well, Starved Rock is so close. You should, yeah, definitely need to at least make a trip there someday. Uh, but that's really amazing. So you just see pictures of these places and it inspires you to draw them?
And Big Sur, California, do the same
Yeah,
thing. That's also my favorite art piece too.
that's so cool. That's so cool. I love it. So what are some places in the city that you like to go here in Chicago?
Uh, I like Chicago, but I never been out of the city since Indiana.
Yeah,
That's where my table piece is going to be at Art House Social Kitchen.
fantastic. That's really exciting.
But until then, maybe someday I would like to visit our city, though. It could be New York City. That's what my late grandmother recommended.
I see.
And I would like anything. I like to go Milwaukee too.
Excellent.
It could be anywhere.
Milwaukee's got a really cool art museum too. So if you go, you should check it out.
Yeah, I would definitely travel someday
Yeah, well,
when everything's back open.
yeah, absolutely. Well, you're still a very young man. You got plenty of time to visit all of these places. I'm sure you'll make it there. Now, I really have to just bring up one of my personal favorites, and that is it's a slightly older one, a little different from your other work, but it's your new edition portrait.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, this one's fantastic.
So why?
You got the whole lineup in there. New edition for I think. Well, you're too young to really be that familiar with their work anyway, but you clearly appreciate the classics. Very popular R&B group. The late '80s kind of launched Bobby Brown's career, and it's the New Jack Swing era. But are they one of the kind of musical acts that you really enjoy?
For New Edition.
Yeah. Are you a big fan?
They're an R&B singer group.
Yeah, that's right. So what inspired you to draw them? Are you a big fan?
I'm a big fan as well. Yeah. It could be all those bands too, including the Backstreet Boys are the number one fan when I was 10 years old.
Yeah, they were definitely a big deal around that time. And I see we also have, you've got a picture here, speaking of the Army Social Kitchen, in front of this Jackson 5 mural, which is really cool. Yeah. Did that inspire you at all, seeing a piece of work so big of these kind of like huge pop culture figures painted on the side of this building? What was it like seeing that up close?
That was it's very interesting. Mm-hmm. Like I told Robin before, like, can we take a picture of a Jackson 5 mural at Gary Andrea after the art house kitchen? I was like, she says, sure, why not? And we definitely love Jackson 5 mural. We never see anything like it. That was inspirational, dedication. You know what I mean?
I'll bet it'd be pretty cool. I'll bet you'd like to paint a mural that size someday, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. Well, speaking of Robin, she actually just threw a question out there. She wants to know about Rock of Ages. Can you tell us about that?
Oh yeah, it's over. It's in my closet right now. I can't get it up right now because I don't want a connection going on. So, Rock of Ages, that created for the Rock of Ages era since 2011. So, Anglo Boys released their first debut ever since years ago. They would break up and they come back together in 2010. And Rock of Ages is 2012. Mm-hmm. That's where it's finished and released. And 2013 till 2014 is Rock of Ages 2. 2014 through 15, that would be Rock of Ages 3. That might be 2015 or 2016. I didn't remember that much. And Rock of Ages 4 releases 2017. I think I didn't remember that much. Mm-hmm. And Rock of Ages 4, that's where Riot Pieces return in my imagination. And that released since 2018. And 2019, that would be Rock of Ages 5.
Uh-huh. Fantastic. So now, one thing I got to ask, I always like to ask this of the artists that have these stories, these narratives that they kind of come up with, these kind of continuing stories and adventures with all these different characters. Stefan's a good example. Jackie is another one. Does the story come first, or does the art come first? So like with Rock of Ages, do you kind of think of the story and where it's going to go, or do you start drawing the pictures first and then figure out the story along the way?
Just drawing the pictures along the way.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and just kind of see where it takes you. You just kind of let the art take you wherever it goes.
Yeah, that's right.
That's really cool. So when,
Especially using songs too. Yeah.
oh, okay, fantastic. So when do you decide that you're done with a piece? How do you know? Like I said before, you take a lot of time. Your stuff's you're very much a perfectionist. But
Oh,
is it hard to say sometimes that that a piece is done? Do you always kind of want to go back and keep working on it? What's that like for you? The process just of deciding that this one's done, it's time to move on to the next piece.
like soft rock piece that you saw, for
Sure.
example.
For example, yeah. Uh, what was it like completing that piece? Did you have to just tell yourself like, okay, it's done, I'm gonna move on, or did you want to keep going back and working on it more?
Well, since I finished Star
Uh-huh.
Rock piece, Park, Illinois, all these good details. When as I finish with it, and then I got to work on the new project, is what's gonna happen after the epidemic. You know what I mean?
Right. So you've always got something else you're looking forward to, something else that you're thinking about that you want to continue to work on, right?
That's
That's
right.
awesome. I mean, there's never a dull moment with Dijon. He's always thinking about the next thing, and it's always really neat and exciting. Um, I see here, I'm looking at one of your Rocky Mountain pieces right now. Uh,
Yeah.
with you've got some wildlife in this one. Um, we've got what appears to be some deer. I think I see a rabbit in there. And again, all these trees, and every single tree is a different color. It's really, really amazing. And you've got a house in there too, or a cabin, I suppose it would be. Um, it's really beautiful, and it really feels, even though there's so much going on, it still feels very peaceful. And I really enjoy that about it. Can
Oh, yeah. Rocky Mountains state. It was Rocky Mountains is in central Colorado, and I
mhm.
made this piece last year, and it was takes like 3 to 4 months. I
Wow.
use color pencils,
Mhm.
try and make it vivid colors to create mix their drawings I could.
Now, do you find, again, I find it very peaceful, very kind of serene. Do you find that making art helps kind of relax you? Is it a really kind of soothing process for you?
Something like that.
Yeah. All right. Good. Good. Because I know some people, they can be real frantic when they're working, and it kind of stresses them out. But artwork for you kind of helps you relax then, right?
Right, like take a
Yeah.
break, try and finish back my art as I could. Like
Yeah.
Stop Rock is it's a challenge artwork I never done in my life.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Dijon, I'd like to know what kind of advice you have for other artists. Um, Especially, the theme of these interviews has been kind of working during the pandemic. It's sort of difficult for people to find inspiration during times like this. What would you say to give them advice?
Oh,
I know.
well, that's a good question as well too. Thinking, like I said about the pandemic project you was telling me about. I'm working on
Hmm.
the people trying to separate like 6 feet away from each other. Like, for example, you see that there's people over here on is that on the right, left or something like that?
Uh-huh.
See, that's what I did. So it's still making progress. So I can try and put it on the big paper. So I gotta do a bunch of sketch papers I could. So that's what I do though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Dijon, if I came to you and I said, man, I want to work on some art, but I can't find the
Right.
inspiration. What kind of advice would you give me to help me get back to work?
Oh, that's a good question to say. Let's say, you know, after the pandemic hopefully ends,
Hmm.
maybe we all reunited together. It's gonna be different. Everything's different for the new normal.
Sure.
And we gotta get back to work, catching up some things. We need to everything since us this March. And pandemic piece that reminds me what's gonna happen in the new normal. So that is a big question right there.
Yeah,
So like I said to Robin and Whitney before, you know.
it's a lot to think about. Yeah, yeah. Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, I'm glad you're staying positive. Well, that about does it for all the questions I have for you, Dijon. Before I let you go, I'd like to just turn it over to the people watching at home and see if anyone else has anything they'd like to ask you. And if there's anything else that you want to add, feel free. Got
Okay, so
a lot of inspirational
yeah.
messages. A lot of people miss you. A lot of people encouraging you to stay creative and stay positive. I think they really miss having your energy around the studio, Dijon.
I miss everyone, includes you.
Oh,
Hopefully, giving everyone a big post too.
yeah. Well, okay. So Whitney's got a
And
question. We talked about this a little bit with some of your specific pieces. I know you worked for a few months on the Starred Rock, but how long does it take you to finish a piece? Usually, is it usually a few months, or does it sometimes take longer, or sometimes is it done sooner?
I started at Starved Rock State Park, Illinois piece from February 5th
Mm-hmm.
of this year to this year of May 17th. That's a late work though. That was late until then. There was a visual art show going on. That piece should have been parked. So
Yeah.
until then, someone asked me until then maybe next month it will be my piece. We're definitely gonna get picked up for the upcoming art show.
Okay. So generally that's about 3 months then, a little over 3 months to finish that piece. Is that pretty standard for you?
It's pretty scam for me though.
Yeah, cool. Now, Nancy wants to know if you dream in color. That's a good question. Since some of these pieces, particularly that underwater one, are actually based on your dreams. Do you remember your dreams? Are they very colorful?
Everything. Like fantasy.
Uh-huh.
Like rainbow colors. I love rainbow colors.
Yeah.
That's like I love using compasses like a rainbow though. And like Grand Canyon has a beautiful colors.
Mm.
Star Rock has a beautiful colors. There's I would have to say is there's another one. It's a beautiful color like fantasy, like the Sea World, the depths of my dreams,
Yeah.
and Rocky Mountains. And Rocky Mountains had a beautiful color palette, trees like you've seen before. Um, Everything has a good vivid colors. You know what I mean? I dream with colors of everywhere of my arts, everywhere.
Wow. That's really fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. Dijon, we've got a few more questions coming in.
Okay. Yeah.
Tracy Frine, Coop Dog Studio. No, do you like to work in pen and ink, adding colored pencil over the top? So do you start with pen and ink and add the colored pencil?
I start with color pencil most likely first
Okay,
for all those pictures, but Niagara Falls is for ink drawing.
I see. Interesting. But colored pencils are definitely your favorite tools to use, huh?
Yep, that's the most favorite color thing, art materials I could do.
Excellent, of course, as long as you got those colors in there. Well, to that point, Whitney wants to know about experimenting with ink for the ink show. What was that like?
For the ink show. For the ink show will be for the Niagara Falls.
Mm-hmm.
That was an interesting question. Like you asked me before, like why Niagara Falls? Like what did you say again? The question.
Well, so
again,
what was it like experimenting with ink? Since that's not something that you usually use, did you find that was a really different experience for you working with ink instead of the colored pencils?
The reason why I use
Whitney
Niagara
says you were a
Falls
natural.
for ink.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Whitney.
Sounds like you took to it.
Okay. So I use this Niagara Falls. That's for ink, for the ink show, because that will be more interesting because I want to do. I never done ink before. Ever since I was in high school, and I like to do more strong bold as I could for Niagara Falls drawing,
Yeah.
and try to make it perfect as I could. The worst favorite part, like I messed that part on the right. I was like, oh man. And I totally messed up. I told Robin and Whitney, said, you guys gotta come over here because something's wrong with Niagara Falls on the right.
Uh-huh.
So she said, you gotta calm down. Everything's gonna be alright. We can fix it for you. So we're gonna get more ink, just a little bit to get this cleaned up as possible.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, it turned out great. And I just have to point out, just if anyone doubted what a positive guy Dijon is, that mistake he was talking about in the Niagara Falls piece, he described it as his worst favorite part. Not the worst part, his worst favorite part. I really like that.
Yeah, worst favorite part.
Right, and they're all favorite parts. That's fantastic. Well, Sloop Bobby D wants to know, how many pieces do you work on at a time? Are you usually working at multiple pieces at once, or do you kind of just go one at a time?
Just do one at a step at a time.
Uh-huh.
I make all those works for Project Onward, but I gotta do work one step at a time.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah. Again, I mean, with how meticulous all your stuff is, that makes sense that you just want to go one step at a time. If you still haven't checked out Dijon's stuff, it's on his Instagram. It's on projectonward.org. You can buy some of it, own an original Dijon Barrett, display it proudly in your home at the Project Onward online shop. I definitely encourage everybody to do that. Dijon, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sorry that we had so many technical difficulties at the beginning, but I had a lot of fun, and it's always so good talking to you, man. I really miss you, and I can't wait to see you back at the studio soon.
You got it. Can't wait to see you back soon as well. But this video is much better than that stupid internet connection. This is much better.
We figured it out. It's sometimes rough at first, but I knew we'd get there. Cool.
And then Nancy, I see that Nancy word says, I was laughing about, I forgot to tell you that I was listening to Steve Harvey Morning Show.
Right.
And I told Robin and Whitney that I played too much and laughed too much about the prank phone call to Nephew Tommy. And Robin says, are you going to keep listening to Nephew Tommy already? Are you serious? And I said, I couldn't help it.
Yeah. Hey man, this is a good question. Whitney, before we go, Whitney wants to know about your job at Base real quick. That's a really good point. Base is a coffee shop, cafe in the Bridgeport Arts Center where Project Onward is located, on the bottom floor. I know you hung out there a lot, you got to know the staff, and then you eventually got a job there. What's that been like?
Oh, I worked there only just Monday and Thursday, right before Project Onward opens.
You were a big fan of theirs, though, right? And you shouted them out a lot on social media. Dijon's very active on social media, and you kind of always you would tag them. And so, did you just kind of get to know them, and then that's how you wound up working there?
Yeah, we all get to know each other. We all very close together. You know, Bo and Paul, they're best. They're the best people I ever met.
That's so cool.
And we work hard and try and make the best money as we can.
Of course.
You know, support the customers, you know, where everything's back open. So it's different too. Like Paul asked me the same thing.
Fantastic. Well, definitely, hey, when everyone comes back to the Bridgeport Arts Center to support Project Onward, be sure to get some coffee and some baked goods from Base. Hang out, play some video games. They've got a DJ in there sometimes. It's a really cool spot. That's a really cool addition to the building. I'm glad you're part of the team. I'm sure you're a welcome addition.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Dijon, I've got one more personal question to ask you before I let you go. I just got to know, what movie are you looking most forward to coming out when you're able to go back to the movies again? What do you want to see?
Mulan. Black Widow.
All right.
I'm trying to figure the others though, but the others are moving to 2021. Was F9 is supposed to be 2020, but it just repulsed. It's canceled to next year, 2021. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to see F9 2021.
There's going to be a lot of good stuff coming out once everything reopens. I'm really looking forward to the new Bill and Ted movie personally. That's
Really?
a good one. Absolutely.
Oh, I want to see Tenet as well too. Denzel Washington's son, John David Washington, looks just like his dad.
Oh, so cool. Yeah, I'll have to look up a trailer for that one. I haven't seen that yet. Well, I hope you get to go back to the movie soon. I can't wait to read more of your reviews. They're always so cool. But thanks again, Dijon. I hope you had fun. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll talk to you again real soon, okay?
Okay, talk to you soon, and see you two wherever the pandemic's come to the end.
Absolutely. We'll see everybody else real soon, too. Go to projectonward.org and do whatever you can to support this wonderful organization, because they're still doing incredible work even during this pandemic. Dijon and all the other artists are really talented and deserve your support. Dijon, take care of yourself. We'll see you around, pal. Bye, everybody.
See you later. All right, tell Whitney I say hello to.
Got it.